Hello, dear book dragons. It's now November, and I read two more books in October that I haven't talked about in my last film. So the two books I read is two witchy books, but very, very different books. A Discovery of Witches and An Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating. You can see how thick they are, how just in that sense they're very different. So it took me, I think it was 2 weeks. Well, there must be more than 2 weeks it took me to read this. It's, as you can see, a very thick book. It's 690 pages. And Discover Witches by Deborah Harkness. It's you could say it's like a dark academia magical realism, most of the book in a way, because it's not very much magic in the first half of the book. And Diana is the witch. She doesn't really want to be a witch. She tries to pretend that she isn't a witch because her parents were killed when she was 7, and they were both witches. And you don't know very much about it in the beginning. You learn more and more throughout the book. But yeah, that's a big reason why she doesn't want to use her magic, but she can't always control that. She is a historian. She's from America, but she's living or just moved back to Oxford to write on her. Well, she's like a doctorate in. Funny enough, in alchemy. She's actually writing about magic all the times. How yeah, well, it doesn't matter. But she's writing about alchemy anyway, and about how people in the old times wrote about alchemy. And so it's a lot of about Oxford. It's a lot about the Bodleian Library. So in that way, I would say it's like dark academia. There's a lot of interesting facts in this book. A lot of references to historians and writers and poets, because this is a love story. And it's a love story between Diana and Matthew, who is a vampire, and of course they're not supposed to mix at all. And in the beginning of the book, she is at the Bodleian Library. She kind of, by mistake, by magic, gets a book she didn't order, and it's magical, and she touches it and realizes, and she doesn't want to be connected to it at all. So she looks through it just a bit in the beginning, and then sends it back. And after that happens, the whole library is swarmed by witches and vampires and daemons, which is, yeah, they are like witches born daemons and daemons, they will spell daemons. And so that's the three kind of magical beings in this world. And daemons are usually very creative and maybe not so stable, but they seem kind of nice, actually, at least the ones we meet in this book. And well, vampires are vampires. They live for hundreds and hundreds of years, so if they're lucky. So this is a love story between a very old vampire and a quite young witch. I mean, she's in her 30s, but yeah. So it's I really liked it, but it's also really weird. I gave it like 4.2 stars. And I don't really know if I would want to give it 5 stars or 4 stars, because I think many people would find this dragging. For me, it was interesting because I kind of liked learning about historical stuff. But it's, I mean, for being a story about a witch finding her magic and this mystery, is not very what do you say? The action starts after the second half, more than after the second half, maybe after 2/3 part, and that's a lot of reading. And I'm a fast reader, and it took me more than 2 weeks to read it. But I really, really enjoyed reading it. So that's why I'm not really sure what I really think. Because vampires, in this book, and probably in a lot of other books that I haven't read, but they're very popular, they're very protective of their own. They're very dominating. But Matthew, he is very much dominating and extremely, well, controlling, maybe is a better word. He's extremely controlling. He's not dominating her, no, that's the wrong word. He's very controlling, and they fall in love very quickly. I mean, I think they kind of get together in 2 weeks or something. And I mean, she knows she should stay way clear of vampires, but that they're very alluring, but she really falls for him, and he helps her. Not controls her. Because she's so messed up in her magic, and the witch is horrible to her. Send her a picture of her parents' death, and apparently maybe it wasn't humans who killed their parents. It could have been witches. And of course that's extremely shocking. So in that sense it's also very realistic about how shock and grief affects you, because it's a lot of shock and grief for her in this book. And it's also a bit about Matthew and his friendship with the demon. So it's not about her all the time. I think the most funniest part that when I decided I'm going to keep reading this book is when he takes her on a yoga class. And it's a witch who holds a yoga class, and the whole room is filled with witches, vampires, and demons, and usually they don't mix at all. So she was like, oh, this is interesting, this is different. And some of the witches were like floating towards the ceiling during the yoga class. And when I read that, I was like, this was fun. I want to finish. I have to continue. And yeah, then I ordered the second book at the library. It's a trilogy, but she's written more, so I'm not sure if it's like, yeah, trilogy and then another trilogy. Anyway, I wanted to read one of the quotes. Well, it's very short, but with thee conversing, I forget all time. And apparently that's a 17th century line from Milton. Which I mean, I heard, of course, a bit about Milton, but I don't really know who he is, so I have to look that up. And I've put a lot of little stickers here. I wanted to read another one which I really liked. Yeah, the most beautiful experience we can have is mysterious. It is the fundamental emotion that stands as the cradle of true art and true science. Whoever does not know it and can no longer wonder, no longer marvel, is as good as dead, and his eyes are dimmed. And that's a quote by Albert Einstein, which I had no idea about. So I've learned a lot of tidbits from a lot of different things. I'm going to have to write these things down. Yeah, so it's a kind of complicated story, and it's a lot about Matthew, about his family, and when the one who actually makes you a vampire becomes kind of your parent, your mother or your father. So we get to meet his mother, and she doesn't like Diana at all from the beginning, and Diana is of course kind of scared of her. But they really find each other. And yeah, I don't want to say too much about it because that would be spoiling. But yeah, it is interesting. It is written in the 90s, I think. So it's 1988. I'm not really sure. It says 2011 here, so not in the 90s. Yeah, sorry, I was wrong. It's not written in the 90s. 2011. But yeah, it's very old-fashioned in many ways, but also very interesting. I'm not going to talk about it anymore, but if you do feel interested in this kind of magical realism and dark academia kind of mix with more and more magic coming towards the end of the book, read it. And it's not very gory. It's not at all, actually. I was like in the beginning that this isn't scary. Why, it should be scary. It isn't scary. There are some towards the end, some really dark things going on, but it's not really about the vampire stuff, but other things. Anyway, so yeah, I recommend it. And then this very quick, very cute book, The Ancient Witch's Guide to Modern Dating, by Cecilia Edward, and has pink papers. It's about a witch, Thorn Scarheart, from the 1600s. And this is kind of interesting when you think about this book and this book, because here's a witch who goes to the future. Yeah, and here's a witch who's connected to the past. And I won't say anything more than that. But anyway, Thorn Scarheart, she's 39 and very stressed about not having any love in her life. I'm not really sure where she lives because it feels like it's somewhere in England. But when she comes to the future, they're talking about dollars, and the author is Australian. But she also talks that she knows Shakespeare. So I'm like, this is a little bit confusing, but it doesn't really matter. It's if you don't think about it, you don't have to think about it. But so I guess it's set in Australia, but I mean, people didn't come there until like 1700s, and I'm quite sure if a witch was living in Australia in 1600s, she wouldn't even know about Shakespeare. So yeah, well, anyway, that's just a little tidbit. But this was a really funny book, full of heart, and quite sad at some points, but it's not very sad, definitely not. Anyway, she, by mistake, she makes a love potion, and there is a lot of dramatic things going on because usually she goes to markets to sell her stuff, right? But this woman comes to her cottage and she doesn't want to be, she has to focus when she makes this love potion. But this woman comes in and disturbs her, and she turns her into a frog. And she, by mistake, drinks this potion because, well, the frog runs around her cat, her very, very cute cat, but kind of mean but funny, very funny cat, who is her familiar, chases the frog, and she gets this potion spilled in her tea, and by mistake she drinks the potion, and suddenly she's in our time. And there she meets a very lovely man called Wall. I guess it's short for Wallace, kind of French name. And his sister Meg, who works in her house, is now a museum, you could say, like a historical museum about witches. And this Meg, she's a lovely little person. She realizes that she actually is a witch because, of course, people there is like, "Who are you? Why are you dressed like this?" They think she's an actor pretending to be a witch. But Meg realizes after watching the, the cameras in the house that, oh, she did actually used to pop in from nowhere. And she helps her and she gives her a job in her own house. Pretending to be a witch, but she's really working on her potions, and she really likes it all the time. She wants to stay. She's still obsessed about finding a man. And this Wall, who is of course a veterinarian, he, they keep meeting all the time, and he's so lovely, and she's just talking about all the dates Meg is going to help her find, and you obviously you will know what will happen, but there are some surprises in this book, I would say, but I mean, I saw through them. I understood why she came to the future. I understood what her sister was doing, how, because there's a sad story behind this with her sister and mother dying, and it's kind of a complicated, sad story in that area. But it's not a sad book. It's a really funny book. And I really recommend it. I gave it 4.5 stars. It's an easy, fun read. So if you need that, I really recommend it. Right now, I'm still reading Sense and Sensibility. I haven't finished it yet. I will soon, I think. And I'm also reading a lovely old fantasy book before Tolkien. So this is Lord Dunsany, the King of Elfland's Daughter, which was voted for in a book club, but actually this book was voted, and I already finished it. I ordered the King of Elfland's Daughter instead to read in November, and it's so beautiful, dreamy language. It's a kind of strange story, but it's beautiful. So I'm reading that as well, and I'm going to continue reading witchy stories, and going to read a Henry James book as well for another book club, The Golden Bow. So I'll see if I like that or not. I don't know. But apparently it's kind of dense and difficult. I don't know. I'll see. But I'll see you